And of course, you know this is Valentine's week, and I figured that Janai Thornton, our financial specialist, will give us the liberty of hanging out with her Valentine, 24 years of marriage.
24.
David Thornton is in the house, her husband.
AKA D. Diddy.
Hey, take that, right? Take that. It is nothing, family. They have been working together for so long that they're beginning to look alike. Let's just be clear. I'll put a picture on WMJ Show. You'll get a chance to see what I see. But let's talk about it, Janai Thornton. You all have not always had this amazing business, this amazing vision. No. You all started off on the struggle bus like many of us.
Oh, yes.
And Janai, you start and talk a little bit about some of the things that you all had to overcome in terms of your relationship with money, and then I'll talk to you a little bit, Dave.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was driving in with David today, just kind of thinking about the most stressful times, and I think it was really when we didn't have enough. Yeah, you think about a lot of couples just really struggle. We did not have enough. We had children very early, and we were kids in college, and we were struggling just to figure it out. So just the struggle of being young and then just not having enough money, you know, the pie just isn't but so big.
Indeed. Hanging out with Janai Thornton, our financial specialist. David Thornton is her husband. So Dave, you all have been married for 24 years. Talk about the time that she's talking about, and what was it like as a man having a child? You know, you all had a child in college, and you're trying to figure things out in college, and now you got a family to take care of. And Janai seems like a very strong woman. Right. And so what was it like for you in that particular time of life?
It was tough, but I just worked. You know, my mind was always on either working or figuring out how to make that extra money. You know, whether it was come up with my own little hustle or somehow figure out how to make more money and then cut back on my expenses. That was 24/7.
So who's the most frugal?
I am.
You are?
Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely.
You don't want to spend nothing on nothing. Generic cereal or regular
he's like
cereal?
the fanciest, frugalist person I know.
Amen to that.
He looks and dresses so nice, but he knows how to get it for the low.
Right.
Yeah, I want to get the best deal on everything. Yeah. You know, I don't mind if I'm wearing something that's really nice. Please know I paid well below retail for it.
Well below retail.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like it's like a game for him. He is obsessed with getting a deal.
I gotta get the deal.
Yeah, that's his thing.
Yeah.
It's an art form for him. But he's definitely.
Does that drive you crazy?
It doesn't drive me crazy, but him being frugal used to drive me crazy.
And so how would you handle him being frugal, although that's part of his, you know, innate ability to save and
right.
who he is? That's just kind of his DNA. How did you deal with that?
Well, it's not that I wanted to be the opposite, to be irresponsible, but I think I didn't understand why he was so frugal.
Right.
And so I think once I got a better understanding of who he was, how he grew up with money, because that's the thing, you know, when you're dating, you're just all into the person and the experience, and you don't take the time to figure out what was their experience growing up. And we had two completely different experiences growing up with money.
Indeed. And what was your experience growing up with money? Did you grow up with a lot of it, or?
No, with very little money.
Okay.
You know, Mom was doing what she had to do to keep a roof over her head. Loved my dad, but he wasn't, you know, doing what he was supposed to do. So if I wanted money, if I wanted anything extra, I had to figure out how to get it. And I was, you know, I'm adverse from crime.
Yeah,
I'm not built for prison. So, you know, yeah, I had to figure out some legal way of coming up with money. So I always was either coming up with money or saving money. I always tell people I always cut my own hair, and I would go to the barber shop with my friends, and they'd be like, "You next?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm just watching." And I would go home.
And now you cutting Janai's hair.
Yeah.
But you charge Janai to cut her hair too?
I would love to.
I get reminded of that every time.
$20 and that $30.
Yeah, I needed that extra money.
That extra $80 a month.
Right.
That $100. So you kept it. So I want to talk to you a little bit about starting a business together, because you all were already you two have totally different views on money at one time. And then Janai, she says, "I'm going to quit my job."
Two kids.
Prematurely, two kids.
Two kids.
And say, "We're about to go do this vision and this dream." David Thornton, what were your thoughts when she decided to follow her dream in the midst of having two children?
It was a little stressful.
A little stressful.
Yeah, because it was, I mean, we were already pretty tight. Things was pretty tight, right?
We was pretty tight.
So, but you know, I believed in her. I believed in her, and for a while, because it took much longer for the money to start to come in. Yeah. So, you know, I just got on the extra grind, and like I said, I would figure out ways to come up with the extra money until meet those gaps. Yeah, but after a while, I said, you know, this really is not working the way we planned it to. So, yeah, you have to come up with something.
We got to come up with some plans.
Yeah.
Hanging out with David Thornton, Janai Thornton's husband, and Janai. So, how did you support him in the midst of you know, being a man, trying to hold it down, and then of course you're building your brand in terms of being who you are today. Like, how were you able to still support him and keep him feeling like a man in the midst of all of this trial and error?
Well, I mean, I think that was something that was hard for me.
Okay.
It was something that I really had to learn to do, because I think in our marriage, I'm the one that's had to change the most.
Okay.
For sure. Because based on how I grew up, my mother was a single parent. I was, like you, adopted. Like I tell people, I didn't have everything. I had 5 of everything. So I had to learn how to adjust. I had to learn how to cohabitate. I had to learn how to see things from his perspective.
Yeah.
So once I saw that, then I understood what my role was.
Okay.
Because I never understood where I really stood before. I'm like, okay, now I see how we actually partner, how we work together. Because before I was just looking at things from my perspective.
Indeed.
So I had to make that change.
So how did you guys partner with the kids? Because you have 2 grown men right now.
Right.
And you guys did some really interesting things with college, with when one of your sons was kicked out of college, and some savings things that you did. I would love to hear your point on this.
No, we set him up, like I mentioned. We set one of our sons up for
one of them
to enter college and be, if he followed the path, he would have been in good shape.
Okay.
But he didn't, and ended up coming out. And but at that point, it was on him. He knew that, like, it wasn't time to baby him. I always say that I was raising men, you know. So it was time for him to figure out. He knew he wanted to get back. I made it so hard for him. He worked 2 jobs. Full-time jobs.
Yeah.
There was no break.
So you were not giving him any money to get back in school?
No.
Not a dime.
Not a dime.
And you think about it from my perspective of his mother.
Yeah, because we always hear you say this.
You know, I am tore up, but I had to follow exactly what David said.
Wow. But I think it builds that I call it the hustle muscle. It builds that muscle. If everything is handed to you, you don't get a chance to develop it. But if it's so tough for you and you don't have, and someone's not giving you a handout, you will figure it out. Yeah, I always say it's money everywhere. You just got to figure out how you're gonna go get it.
Come on, D Diddy, hit the bell if you got it.
And Janai, so what is it that you guys set up for your kids? That education program?
Well, we set up a 529 account for our kids, but what we did was we never told our children that they had money for school. And I remember, as when they were really young, we would always tell them, we're not paying for you to go to school. Although we knew that we would support them, they kind of knew that they had to figure it out.
So y'all was tough.
It's very tough, but again, I followed his lead because I wouldn't have handled it that way. And so as a mother, you know, you want a baby, particularly your boys, I understood that he loved them so much. Not that he was trying to hurt them, because I could not come behind him and do what I wanted to do, because then they would definitely play us against each other.